the race is underway. This fall, Calgarians will head to the polls for the 2025 civic election. Meet 5 of the high-profile mayoral candidates vying for your vote. A driven city councillor who lives up to her name, Sonia Sharp has spent the last 4 years asking the tough questions at City Hall, now hoping she and her community's first party can take the city in a different direction. The runner-up in the last municipal election, Jeremy Farkas, who spent the last 4 years climbing mountains and working with local charities, hoping the results this time around will be different. 2021's third-place finisher Jeff Davison, a former city councillor who is also looking for another chance at public service, with a promise to scrap rezoning on day one. Then there's former Police Commission Chair and lawyer Brian Thiessen, hoping his experience and vision can help end what he calls dysfunction at City Hall. And the incumbent, Jody Gonzek, who spent her tenure navigating adversity and a campaign to remove her from office, all while leading the city to historic investments in housing. I'm Jillian Code. Thank you for joining us as we introduce you to some of the hopefuls competing to become Calgary's next mayor. Many have similar platforms, agreeing that affordability, public safety, and getting back to the basics are key in this election. What differs, though, is the plans to tackle those problems. This will also be the first election where candidates can be part of a party. That after the province changed its election legislation. We start with the woman familiar with being in the top spot, the incumbent Jody Gonzek. It's been 4 years since she made history becoming Calgary's first female mayor, and now she's hoping Calgarians will give her a second term.
Over the last 4 years, we've been through some pretty unexpected things. We are recovering from a pandemic. We had a water emergency. We have seen the economic impacts of tariffs. And in the midst of all of that, we're seeing more than 250 people a day moving here, choosing to call Calgary home. We are the most livable city in the country. We are attracting investment. We're creating jobs. We are strengthening our economy. And all of that didn't happen by accident. It was very dedicated, purposeful city building under my leadership.
Why did you decide to run independently?
I'm not alone in thinking that there shouldn't be parties at the municipal level. 70% of Albertans said that there shouldn't be. This experiment that we are seeing from the provincial government, where Calgary and Edmonton are able to have political parties, I think is the kiss of death for local representation. You have to work with other orders of government that already have party systems. So creating yet another level of parties does not serve the people. So I'm not here to answer to a party whip or a party leader. I'm here to answer to the people who elect us.
Under Gonzek's leadership, the city became a national leader in housing starts. She says it's a result of deliberate planning.
One of the quickest ways to create housing is to provide an incentive for people that will build a secondary suite in their home. We have seen that program be so successful. We have looked at city-owned land that we don't need to be doing anything with. We've partnered with nonprofits to create more affordable housing there. Our wholly owned subsidiary, which is Attainable Homes Calgary, is doing a build right along 6th right now, where there's 2 structures going up. One is traditional build, you know, the stick build they call it, and across the street they're doing modular. Those modular units are being assembled as we speak, and that build will only take a matter of weeks as opposed to years.
Would you do anything differently to address crime and safety going forward, or again, do you feel that the path we're on is going to get us where we need to go?
It is apparent that we can't enforce our way out of the situation we're in. Calgary Police Service has told us we need good partnerships. We need to have good outreach teams to take care of people in crisis. And so we have created that type of a structure. Well, Calgary Police Service is supported by experts who can help somebody who is in a position of overdosing or any other crisis they're having, and the police service can focus on the criminal element. It's really about collaboration and taking a multi-pronged approach. We're not there yet. We know we need to do more, but a lot of the root causes have to do with mental health and addiction and housing.
With a province that has been keeping a watchful eye on the city's decisions, Gonzek says she's been fighting for the needs of Calgarians.
A strong relationship with the provincial government means that services for Calgarians get stronger. And I would say that both the provincial and federal government need to realize that we are the economic engine of this province and this country. And the income tax that they benefit from is not coming back to us properly. As a matter of fact, even the property tax that the provincial government is taking from Calgarians is not coming back to be reinvested in our city. So I'm fighting hard to make sure we are getting our fair share and keeping our fair share of funding in our city so we can provide all the important services that people need.
Gondek isn't the only current member of council seeking the mayor's seat. Ward 1 councillor Sonia Sharp has been front and centre in council chambers, and she says it's time for a change.
I don't like the options out there. I don't think Calgarians like the options out there. So it was time for me to put my name in the hat. And, you know, I would say I have 20 years of institutional knowledge, like working at the city, 16 years of over business experience, and now add on the political side of things. I would say, you know, with that kind of trifecta approach, I'm probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest candidate running for mayor.
Sharp's running for mayor not as an independent, but as leader of the community's first party.
I know there's a lot of hesitation around this party thing. And that's because, you know, they're thinking that we're either being supported by an actual political party. That is not, there's nowhere, that's not what we found. You know, we got out there, we created our own name, we created our own principles, we interviewed people, and literally you're building a team. And now we're on our way to, you know, crossing that finish line, and then we'll see what the province thinks of this whole system, where the City of Calgary and City of Edmonton are the only two cities doing this. And if they think it was a success, great, but they have to hear from our feedback, because I do have some pros and cons about how this all went down.
In council, she was a vocal critic of blanket rezoning passed in 2024 and says if elected, she'll remove it.
The one thing that rezoning really did was remove the people from the process. And so that was my biggest angst about this the whole time. Administration said, you know, the people coming to council was bureaucratic. It took too much time without looking internally at their own process. You can bring people back and you can shorten the timeline internally. You can shave off 100 days if you need to. But there's another kind of narrative that fell with blanket rezoning, is that we were pushing people to live in established areas. We were vilifying inner city builders against suburban builders. That has to stop. That's not how you build a city. You build a city by building houses for all.
Another big topic this time around, it seems, is crime and safety. You know, the city has done a lot of work to sort of tackle this, but do you have any new ideas on how we can tackle crime and safety and make people feel safe here?
It's not something you can solve overnight. We can, you know, you like people have challenged me and said, you know, you're going to throw 500 more police officers on the street. It's not going to solve anything. I can't tell you it's going to solve anything. We have there's a mental health and addiction issue. And we need to be working closely with our province to say, how can we compassionately serve these Calgarians who choose to live on the street and who choose not to live on the street, but need the support. We have to look at all of this as a really big vision and project, and look at where we can as a municipality fit in to solve the crime and safety issues.
As for working with the province, Sharp says it's about standing up for Calgarians.
It's the relationship that we serve the same people. What's the return on investment for Calgarians? Calgarians come first to me, and so I'm always going to fight for Calgarians. I'm going to fight for the dollars that we need. And then how do we work with that level of government to fight the federal government? Now, are their priorities lining up with the Calgarians' priorities? And that's where, you know, I would have a role to play in saying, no, you're missing the mark, or yes, you are, let's work together. And I'm ready for those decisions, and I'm ready to have those conversations, and they won't be easy with the government of Alberta, and they won't be easy with the government of Canada, but I have a passion for the city to serve.
Some candidates running for mayor are gearing up for a rematch. 2021's runner-up Jeremy Farkas says the city has evolved over the last 4 years and feels it's time for a new direction.
And in the next 4 years, our next mayor is going to welcome 2 million Calgarians. So we need a plan for the services, the safety, the infrastructure to be able to accommodate that. We have a lot of issues here and now, but this election is going to come down to who has the best plan to be able to ensure that Calgary remains an incredible place where anybody and everybody feels safe.
What is your plan for housing if you're elected mayor?
So it's very clear we need to take a targeted approach. We need to ensure that the housing that we build is in the right locations, supported by the services and infrastructure that it requires, that it's built at a speed so that we can actually catch up on the deficit that we currently have.
On crime and safety, Farkas says it needs to be tackled from all angles.
It's very clear that we need to take a preventative approach. We need to make sure that we're funding the upstream efforts like mental health, addiction, housing first. But we also need to address the immediate safety and security concerns that Calgarians are feeling here and now, especially on transit. So we need to make sure that we can move beyond some of the dysfunction that we've seen. Up until now, it's been a discussion of sort of the police versus social workers, right? And I think we've inherited some of that debate from the whole defund the police conversation. But I think at this point in time, Calgarians have been really clear to me in that they want to see all of the above. So our plan that we've put forward really addresses safety from both sides, addressing being tough on crime, but even tougher on the causes of crime.
Farkas is another candidate running independently, steering clear of party lines.
For me, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I look back at my city council career, and a lot of the most rewarding work that I was involved with, say championing the low-income transit pass, being a co-signer with Mayor Naheed Nenshi on the community action and mental health strategy, even working with Councillor Drew Farrell, somebody who's quite politically different from me, by the way, on things like transparency around the Olympic bid, even fixing the lead water pipes in the city. When I looked at the most rewarding things that I was able to accomplish in my career, it was when I was working across those party lines, so to speak. What Calgarians need now is practicality. They need mayor and council that are willing to get to work, regardless of party lines, to be able to, again, just achieve the things that Calgarians need so that those folks out there can live a great life.
He says when working with the province, he's got a good track record of finding middle ground.
I think back about my experience as CEO out at Glenbow Ranch. We were faced with a really challenging issue. If you're not familiar, it's about a 3,000 or 4,000 acre property between Calgary and Cochrane. It was gifted over to Albertans by the Harvey family. The assumption was that this beautiful property would be kept in trust, preserved and protected as a provincial park. But unfortunately, the province was considering essentially destroying the park and retrofitting it into a major flood mitigation project. We stood up to the province, but at the end of the day, we were willing to work with them and alongside them to be able to get everyone what they wanted. And that's what we did. We found an alternative location that a different flood mitigation project could be built, but with community support, to be able to ensure that the park would be protected and that the city would be protected. And that would be my approach, to be practical, to push back when necessary, but be willing to give the partners on the other side a win when and where they need it, right?
There is another candidate who has felt the sting of an election loss and turned it into motivation. Jeff Davison says he's returning with a new plan for the city he loves.
You know, I've obviously been down this path before, and I see what's happening in our city, and I just disagree with a lot of things that's happening. And I think I've got 3 young people I'm raising. I've chose to live here. I'm making my life here. I want young people to continue to choose Calgary. I want them to build a family here. I want them to grow old here. But to do that, we have to build a safe, affordable city of opportunity for everyone, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
Davison is looking to repeal blanket rezoning with a plan for development that's more targeted.
We're not going to keep up with density by building 4 units at a time. And when I step back and think about, growing up here, what is the greatest thing about Calgary? It's the diversity of our communities. I don't want everything to look the same. I enjoy being able to go to different places in our city and enjoy different things, from entertainment to food to just walks in the park. All of those make Calgary great, and when everything in Calgary looks the same, we've failed. So to me, let's keep up with density by building better. Let's think about transit-oriented development. Let's look at communities. The community around us right now that's going up. I did this when I was on City Council as the Ward 6 councillor. We're adding 55,000 residences to the west side by simply building new communities in and around existing communities, putting the density where the density makes sense. That's how we build affordability, that's how we build housing, and that's how we get out of the crunch we're in.
Crime and safety is something that's very important for a lot of people. What is your plan to tackle it?
I think it's the #1 issue in our city. We can talk about bylaws, we can talk about blanket rezoning, we can talk about climate emergencies. At the end of the day, the #1 thing I hear from Calgarians is I want to be safe in my city. We're seeing disorder downtown, we're seeing it on the trains, we're seeing it in our peripheral communities. That tells me we've got to do better. We want to bring forward an agenda that puts more officers on the ground, that works with the province on how do we solve the bigger problem. One of the biggest issues we have is that we've got a crime issue, but we have a mental health and addiction issue. If we don't get proactive about working with our other orders of government and solving that piece of it, we're never going to clean up the streets. I'm committed to cleaning up the streets. I think Calgary is a city of leaders. I think we have brilliant minds here. Let's pull those minds together. Let's bring those community resources. Let's work with police and the other orders of government to help put Calgary in a position where we lead North America on how we solve this problem.
He says if elected, he'll look to build a strong relationship with the province.
In 25 years of a career in energy, technology, now healthcare, film, city council, it's all about building partnerships. Partnerships are required to move the world forward. The biggest challenge I see with the city council is they fail to build those partnerships. And when you fail to build a partnership with other orders of government, at some point when you've asked them for money into a project and you fail to report on that money, you're going to be held accountable. And they're going to make decisions on where they're going to go and how they're going to move forward with or without you. I hope we can reset all of that. And in fact, I know we can. By bringing everybody to the common ground, reaching a consensus, we can actually move forward as partners together, respecting whose lane is what on where we're going. But we've got to agree we've got common problems, and we have to agree that accountability matters to both of us.
He's running independently, saying parties aren't the only way to get things done.
If we value innovation, if we value diversity of thought, if we believe that talking through problems is important to solving problems, what do I need a party for? I don't want a bunch of yes people around me. I actually want to bring diversity of thought to the table and have everybody work the problem so that we make sure that we're doing the best we can for Calgarians.
We have heard from current and former members of council who are running for mayor, but there's another candidate who has put his name in the hat for the first time ever.
I got involved in politics as I pursued my legal career 30 years ago when I was at U of C. My best friend Kevin Weiler and I started out on a journey, supported candidates for the last 30 years and always thought I would run. My essay when I applied to University of Calgary Law School was all about public service. So always thought that I'd run, and I lost my best friend last year, Kevin. And it made me do the, enjoy the hour, it's later than you think, as the Romans say. And I decided to resign as managing partner of a national law firm and pursue my dream of public service and run for mayor to honor my friend Kevin.
He won't be campaigning alone. Thiessen is running for mayor as leader of the Calgary Party.
I was like 70% of Albertans that didn't want political parties in municipal politics. But as a lawyer, I look at the rules the way they are, not how I wish they would be. And we looked at it glasses half full. What good things could you do with a political party? And we realized you could build a functioning team. So we did that. And we could draft policy together, learn how to work together. So we've got, public safety toolkit, transit toolkit, housing toolkit. We've outlined detailed policies on each area. So we've learned how to work together, how to overcome policy differences, so we can hit the ground running on day one.
When it comes to housing, he plans on speeding up development.
So the Calgary Party is focused on streamlining the approval process. So we've actually proposed a 3331 housing approval process to dramatically speed up approvals that are within the parameters of zoning. We need to remove red tape. We need city admin to move at the speed of business and realize that when they delay projects 18 months, 24 months, that's real money to the people who build houses in Calgary. We want to make sure that city admin isn't focused on priorities. They say things like they're focused on the climate crisis as a priority. Climate and the environment are a priority for the Calgary Party, but housing is our #1 issue. We need to build for the 100,000 people coming every year, and it's going to be front and center on every decision we make.
The Housing First focus is also how he and his party plan to tackle crime and safety.
I have a lot of my opponents who are saying, we're just going to hire more police. Well, I met with the Calgary Police Executive, and you know what they tell us? You can't police your way out of this situation. So just hiring more police isn't going to solve the issue. That's why we proposed a Housing First strategy. It's been done in Finland, and we figure it is both the compassionate thing to do to find homes for the unhoused, but also Finland did it, and they tracked the costs. And we think we'll save about $100,000 per person per year for the unhoused that isn't spent on health care and the justice system and emergency response. So it will save us money. in the long run. And we can actually, and you actually have more success, Finland has measured this as well, with treating people with mental health and addiction once they're housed. Mental health and addiction teams, Alpha House runs these help teams right now with transit, but they only run during the day. We want to fund those so they're running 24/7.
You can find all of your coverage on the election trail, including election night, right here at City News Calgary. Advance voting opens in less than a month, and you can cast your ballot in the first week of October or on Election Day, October 20th. I'm Jillian Code. Thank you for joining us.